What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, this could be the episode where the championship is finished off. We are in the box seat to win our first Drivers' Championship, and it's a track that I'm pretty familiar with and one that really should suit my driving style. The Mexico City Grand Prix, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Can't believe I got that right off the top of my lungs. Anyway, we are so close to completing our goal of becoming world champions. As well, of course, the departments, the engine and I think the chassis departments that are at risk of not being safe for next season. So there you see the standings. We've won the last two races. We have a 96-point gap over Charles Leclerc and 100 to Lewis and 102 back to Lando. So it is 4 points between Leclerc, Hamilton and Norris. So if any one of those guys win, I think Lando probably won't win. Lewis may be half a chance, but I think Leclerc is going to be our biggest threat. So let's just say if Leclerc wins, then we need at least 7th with a fastest lap. I think that would be enough because we've won more races than Leclerc has. So, and if it's not 7th, then 6th is the absolute maximum we need, because when we finish off here in Mexico, there will be 78 points available. We have a 96-point gap, so we can afford at least 5th. 5th is more than enough, and 6th. So the gap between 26 points, so a win with fastest lap is 26, and 6th place is 8 points. So yes, 6th would be enough, but 7th probably not. So we're going to need at least 6th. And giving our record before Qatar, I do hope that we can have the confidence to wrap all that up. Second lap on this set of soft tyres, P1. That should be safe enough for us to get through into Q2. Liam though, he's not quite safe. I think he's going to have to go out again, but I'm not convinced he's going to get through on his own. So what we're going to do, we'll leave the set of softs we've got on for the moment. We're going to go out exactly where Liam is about to start his lap and give him a nice tow all the way down the main straight. And as long as we get a good run out of 1, 2 and 3, then we can give him a run all the way down. But look at how quickly he's closing up. Holy hell. And we can't even use our battery because we're stuck in the hot lap. We can't even go into overtake proper. So we did give him a nice tow. Not the original plan I was hoping for, but it is good enough to get him through into P10 and have a look at or P5. Have a look at the gap. 4/10 improvement in the first sector. Marginally down in his middle sector, but he really finished off that lap really well. Lando Norris and George Russell, if you look closely, have used 3 sets of soft compound tyres. So that means they're going to be compromised in Q3 if they even get that far. So they've only got the 1 set of softs to utilise for the rest of qualifying, whereas us, we've got 3 sets and we're using one of those 3 right now because we used the 1 set to get ourselves into Q2, and that's something that I really think is working out for us, using the 1 set of softs for qualifying to get into Q2. Therefore we have 3 sets to play with if we need them. So basically we're using it 1 set per session, which really gives us a lot of flexibility, so we can save that set of softs for the Grand Prix if we need them. And I always like having a set of softs to have in our disposal for the main Grand Prix. So even though I don't know if you saw there, but Lando and George did use 2 different sets of soft tyre, but surely they would have been trying to save that set of soft tyres for either this final part of qualifying or for the race. So they're going to be compromised. So I don't think Lando is much of a factor, nor is Lewis. I don't think so. This fight could potentially between me and Leclerc for the championship. So as you can see, I've gone out a little bit early because I still want to go for my fast push lap, but also give Liam a nice slipstream all the way around me. And as you can see, unlike Q1, we have left ourselves a nice solid distance, so therefore none of us is interrupted, and that is absolutely beautiful. Through turn 1 and 2, the car, just like the last race in Kota, it doesn't feel quite as stable. The car's still very loose, and that's something that I'm going to explain about a little bit more in the next episode, or it's going to be the last episode. I'll get to that in a little moment. So, purple middle sector. So I knew we were going to be quick, but I wasn't sure whereabouts in total. We get really close to Gasly. I'm not sure how far Liam is behind us, but we cross the line. Where do we end up?
Fantastic, you've got pole position.
And it is pole position for the Mexico City Grand Prix. And to be honest, that was kind of the last thing that I kind of wanted, because pole position is not the best place at Mexico to start because of the long main straight that we have to get to turn 1. So I would prefer second or even third. I would have preferred second row to be pole position, basically, because even if you don't get the greatest start, but if you get a good enough start to stay with the leader, you can get a nice slipstream all the way down into turn 1. And if they go into the defensive, we can use the racing line, and we're going to have a lot more confidence to brake a lot later, because we're on the grippier side of the road. Even though the tyres will still be fairly cold, they won't be up to temperature. But being on the clean side of the road is going to be pivotal. Even if Max gets ahead, I'm not going to be too concerned about that.
Bienvenidos to the most populous city in North America. The legendary Jim Clark won the first official F1 race back in 1963 here, and we've had a veritable who's who of winners ever since. It's Mexico City, and therefore the Mexico City Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Skip lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Ocon, Gasly, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Albon, Stroll, Sainz, Joe, Russell, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Bottas, Perez, Hulkenberg, Liam Lawson, De Vries, Sargent, Oscar Piastri, and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the grid.
So with Lewis dead last, he's out of the equation for the championship. Norris down in 7th. He is an absolute long shot, but I really doubt he's going to go anywhere close to the top. And Leclerc is still very much thereabouts. And I was only finding out that Lawson gets a grid penalty when Crofty is announcing the starting grid. Feels like a wasted effort, if you ask me, because Liam's not going to be up there to help me for the constructors, and I can't help him get into the points. So he is on his own, just like we are on our own for the Grand Prix today. 5 red lights, and away we go. Such a long run down into turn number 1. Pretty even start between us and Max, but Max in the second phase does get the better start. Now, like I said, that's okay. I'm okay with that because I can get a nice slipstream from Max, but Leclerc got an absolutely ripper start. He's already ahead of both of the Alpines heading down into turn 1. We fend off Leclerc. Now we can focus on just staying with Max. That is going to be important, but I am a little bit worried about our straight line speed because we are carrying a bit more downforce than the others maybe, and already Max, before DRS is enabled at the end of the second lap, is already outside of 1 second, so we need to push a little bit hard just to stay with him. But hopefully once we get the DRS, everything should be okay. We shouldn't be able to push as hard. Now I did put a little bit more fuel than what I probably expected, because I do like to underfuel the car just to get a bit of weight off the car, so it's a little bit easier for the car to turn, and so it's not stressing out the tyres too much. But here we go, lap number 5. This is the most pressure we've faced from Leclerc. He's going to go around the outside. We're going to cover off the inside very well and make sure that Leclerc does not stay around the outside, and make sure that he doesn't have the inside for turn 2, and even trying to go around the outside. If he went around the outside at 3, he would have had the inside for turn 4, and that's something that I wouldn't have liked, because I still want to try and win this race. And as you could hear, big lead. I didn't even try to overtake Max at that stage. But even us coasting, we can save a little bit of fuel, because fuel is a bit harsh around here in Mexico. So saving fuel is very much still a thing, but I left off a little bit early. Didn't realise that Leclerc was having a lunge, nearly rear-end Max. We give Leclerc room on the inside for turn 3, but Max gets away a little bit. But we do get a double dose of DRS because it's double dose. There's only one detection point, and that is just when before you get to the last corner. And as you can see, going very wide. I probably left Leclerc a little too much space. I probably could have turned in a little bit less than that, but anyway. So we don't touch. There hasn't been any contact yet so far. So we are keeping our nose clean. Unfortunately, I don't know what Liam is up to, but I really hope that he's looking to make moves. And I'm looking at the mini-map every time I get a chance, and he's not really making any pressure. Have a look at that. The car just did not want to turn there. Now, that could be because of just plain understeer. Stuttering. The tyres can't handle it, and it's going to be time to box very soon. But here we go. This is the closer we've been. I wanted to try and overtake Max to see what would happen. We're draining the battery quite a bit. The straight line speed of the AI, well, the RB or the Red Bull, but the AI in general is just absolutely ridiculous. Now we're going to try and get as far up the road as we can. So if you look at the leader, the gap is about 7 tenths, almost 8 tenths, as you can see right there. So yeah, it's just about 8 tenths. DRS will be enabled right about now, I think. On board with Max, and have a look at that. Oh my goodness me. He absolutely breezes past before we even get to the control line. And now Leclerc, we've managed to drop Leclerc. It's a straight fight between us and Verstappen, and we could almost slipstream each other to help get away from Leclerc. That's one thing that can help us get away from Leclerc, but we've got to be aware that 2-second gap is still very much in play for an undercut. So if we start squabbling too much, oh god, Max, please do not go defensive. I did not want Max to go defensive, but we're going to try and make a move right now. We've got a 7-second gap back to Ocon in the Alpine, so Gasly didn't get a better start than his teammate. So Ocon still staying there in 4th, Alonso in 5th, and I think it's Albon who is in 6th now, because I did see Albon getting overtaken on potentially dying soft compound tyres. Lap 16, 20 laps to go in this race. As you can see, we are not fighting Max into turn number 1 because we've still got that 2-second buffer to Leclerc, and that gap between us and Leclerc has not really gone out any more than about 2.5 seconds. So he is starting to come back at us just a little bit. Max does not want to give us an inch. He doesn't care about what I do for my championship. He's out of it. He wants to try and spoil it. So Max, I love you with all my heart as an F1 fan, but please do not take me out right now. So, if we box right now, I did have a feeling the others might stay out. So, have a look at the gap this time. It was just over a second, and Leclerc is coming in to box. So, he's going to try and undercut, but hoping that he can still get out in clean air. As you see, Max, he gets to within 1/10 of a second, but he can't find a way past. So, the next lap, both me and Max are in for hard compound tyres, and I presume that's what Leclerc's done. Alonso, Sainz, and I think, yes, Gasly's in as well. Where is Leclerc? I'm looking at the mini-map. He's just coming around onto the main straight across the start-finish line right now. It's going to be very, very close. Russell, I don't think he's boxed yet, but as you can see, we're warming up our tyres a little bit, but Leclerc stays in 3rd. So the undercut hasn't really worked for Leclerc there on that occasion. So now, if we can maintain this pace as Lance Stroll retires at the halfway point of the race, if we maintain this pace and keep Verstappen to about that second, even if he does have DRS, as we see what's happened to Stroll, engine's gone, very nice, the engine was on its last legs, it seems. At this stage of the season, other drivers will be taking grid penalties just to be sure that their car can get some valuable points. And have a look at the straight line speed of Verstappen. What is that? That is something I literally cannot compete against. So we are starting to push a little bit more in this race now, and Liam comes in the lap after we do. I'm surprised he didn't come in on the same lap as us, because he had a big enough gap, and the team had a big enough gap to react to whatever we would have done. So there would have been definitely enough time for Lawson to come in without having to double stack. So even after a few laps on the house, the car it's not quite there. It's not quite in that sweet spot yet. So and I'll explain why briefly, because and I had a feeling it's because we weren't getting any upgrades on the car, because the only thing that we're doing at the moment is preserving our parts that we've already got on the car to make sure that they get on Ford next season. So that's been our main focus, to make sure that we get the majority, if not all, of the parts that we currently have on the car, to make sure that they get on the car for next season. So here we go. We're going to try and move on Verstappen. We've got a nice gap to Leclerc. It's not big, but we do make a move on Verstappen around the outside at 4, inside for turn 5. Move is very nicely done to the double right-hander at 5 and 6. And so here we go. We are just outside that 1 second mark, but Leclerc is still there or thereabouts in Max's DRS. So Max would be a little bit nervous, but this is us now. We're not using any overtake. This is an experiment that I wanted to see what happened without us using any overtake. Oh my goodness me. Even us using no overtake, Max still somehow gets alongside us into turn 1 that time. So while Max and I are switching places, potentially trying to get away with Leclerc, and I'm surprised that Leclerc's been able to stay with us for this amount of time, probably because I'm too slow and my straight line speed is near to non-existent. But hopefully sometime in the very near future we can finally break out of that 1 second of Leclerc, as long as he doesn't get DRS on Max. And if something does happen to us, he can't steal this championship away from us. But if something does happen to us right now and Leclerc gets second with fastest lap, Leclerc needs at least second with fastest lap if we don't see the checkered flag, to make sure that the championship goes to at least to Brazil. But I think the way that the last few races have gone, and considering how well we've been on edge of reliability, I find it hard to believe that it's going to happen. With Max getting the fastest lap, I don't think anyone else is going to potentially try and challenge that. So the last few laps, we've been able to get outside of 1 second of Verstappen, and so we're pushing on a little bit more at the moment. I had the confidence that we had enough fuel in the car to push almost to the end of the race, whilst keeping the car to its absolute limit and bringing the car home, staying within track limits, not pushing the absolute maximum out of the car, and just bringing this car home. And so the last few laps, I've just had enough time to do a bit of reflecting on this year so far, as the dream is about to become reality as we start the final lap of this race. When we started this career mode journey, I set the AI difficulty to about 100, which is typically round about where I would be using usually, and I set the challenge to being in a midfield team. So, considering where we finished in F1 22, you guys didn't see the end of it, but we finished somewhere in the midfield. So I thought the midfield and potentially getting podiums, top 5s on occasions would be an absolute goal, and 4th place in the constructors. That was probably our main focus, getting 4th in constructors, with getting, the odd win here and there. And the further we went into this season, we were just getting more confidence out of the car. The upgrades were getting on. The car was getting so good. We were getting the absolute maximum out of the car. We swapped teammates in the middle part of the year. Then we had that little moment between Belgium and Suzuka where we lost a little bit of the edge. We weren't as competitive as we were. And then the comeback in Qatar, 16th. We came back to win that race, and winning in Qatar, that really set it up. And here in Mexico City, with one more corner to go, the dream is about to become reality, because we are champions of the world.
Thank you so much. Doing great all weekend. To everyone back in the factory on a pit wall. You've been amazing.
Fantastic! Yes, come on, we won it! We are the drivers' world champions! What a result! Enjoy this one, my friend, enjoy it! faces on our top three look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
A dream I never thought was possible has now become reality for the first time in our careers on F1 23 and the only time on F1 23. We are drivers world champions. You know, I can't even express the amount of excitement that I had crossing the line, and you know the relief that came out. You know, I'll admit I was a little bit worried, especially after those 4 races where we didn't quite have the edge over everyone else, that things probably would start to fall away, especially when everything started in Qatar, when the car wasn't quite as stable. I was worried that things probably went south a little bit for us, but somehow the car was just good enough and we got every ounce out of it, and we have managed to finish off the season and win our first Drivers' Championship. I think that's win number 9 for us in 2023. 106 points ahead of Leclerc, and have a look at that. The Constructors is still very much in the balance. 28 points between the top 4 cars, and Verstappen getting up there. And if Max had won, Red Bull would be in front at the moment, and we would have been a little bit further back. But look, the only thing I really want to focus on was the drivers. The Constructors was an absolute long shot, because we really need Liam to be up there. But right now, I am absolutely over the moon. We now have 3 races to enjoy this championship victory. So, what does this mean for the final 3 races? Well, all 3 races, spoiler alert, are going to go into one video. That will be coming out tomorrow night, and I'm going to make sure of that. This is the second last video of 2024 of playing F1 23. I know this is taking me a long time to get to this point, but once you see more F1 24 videos, trust me, the wait will be worth it. And every ounce of me finishing off this championship, making sure that you guys see the final result of what happened, will absolutely be worth the wait. And just watching this video and just talking about it over the mic behind the camera, it's a real sense of achievement. And the way we've had to fight and gather ourselves for these last 3 races is really quite remarkable. But like I said, we've got 3 races to celebrate this, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are indeed new to see plenty more F1 and racing game content. The final video will be out tomorrow, New Year's Eve. The second last video of 2024. I know you're still watching F1 23, but the final 3 races will all be going into one video. That'll be coming out tomorrow. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, I cannot thank you enough for all your support throughout 24 and watching this F1 23 gameplay. Until tomorrow, for the final F1 23 video, I'll see you next time.